With the release of Dune Part 2, I want to rank all 5 Dune movies and miniseries. Let's start. In 5th place, we have Dune 1984. Now, this movie was an absolute disgrace to me. This movie took everything I loved about the book and everything higher up on this list, drained all the energy out of it, and just made it into this bland movie. No life to it. It just looked fake at times. The CGI, because the CGI is not good in here. Even for a 1980s movie, I feel like there's better movies, like Star Wars A New Hope, for example, where the CGI looks way better than this movie. This movie looks terrible. It could be worse, but it looks terrible. And I feel like since the runtime's too short, it's trying to do too much in its small runtime for how thick the book is. The first hour of this movie is taking its time setting up everything, and then the last hour is completely rushed, and you have no time to process anything that just happened. In 4th place, we have Children of Dune. Now, this is quite a jump from last place to 4th place right here. But when it comes to Children of Dune, I feel like this movie automatically has an advantage because we're not really comparing it to anything because there's no other movie based on this story, because no other movie adapted this part of this story yet. It kind of has an advantage because we're not really comparing it to anything else. This is a mini-series. It only has 3 episodes. 1 episode is adapting the story of Dune Messiah, the 2nd book of Dune. Episodes 2 and 3 are adapting Children of Dune book. But yeah, for the reason why this miniseries is in this place on the list is because basically this and the other miniseries, which I will talk about later, they both have the same problems. The reason why this one's in this place is because kind of adapting 2 stories. The first one was Dune Messiah, like I said, and Children of Dune. And I feel like just the first episode of the story of Dune Messiah feels like its own thing. It feels like it shouldn't be part of this show. And I feel like they could have done their own show on just Dune Messiah on its own. So have like a Dune miniseries, a Dune Messiah miniseries, and then the Children of Dune miniseries. So that just Dune Messiah isn't just squeezed in there as an episode 1. Because I feel like it doesn't really work as an episode 1. I feel like they could have definitely moved it around. Because I felt like a Dune Messiah story should have been longer than an hour and 23 minutes. At least a movie. At least a short movie, at least. But yeah, Children of Dune is enjoyable, 3 out of 5. And in 3rd place, we have Dune. This one is the main story that we know from the newer stuff and the older stuff. Yeah, so when it comes to this one, the reason why it's higher, this episode 1 actually works. Last episode 1, where it felt like just a additional story, this episode 1 actually has its full story, which is the reason why the newer stuff is split in half into part 1 and part 2. This one actually has like that full-on story to it. Every episode has that story element to it. CGI looks like it's made from TV. Pacing's bad. Episodes are about hour 20 to hour 40 minutes. Feel too long. They do not feel that runtime. That's one of the problems with these miniseries and why they're both at a 3 out of 5. Because the runtime and pacing just feel long. It could have fixed that. I mean, like, yes, the CGI was probably good at the time, but this just looks like a TV show. And in 2nd place, where we have the huge gap, is Dune, the 2021. This one's just a 4.5 out of 5. When it comes to this first one, I feel like it does a really good job at setting up this world for this newer stuff. Just everything I listed beforehand, all of those problems do not fall into this movie. I do not find this movie long. The CGI is wonderful. Like, that's why, like, comparing the CGI to the previous stuff is kind of not fair, because the CGI in this is just amazing, especially for the budget that it has. Amazing CGI. And still able to get really good actors and actresses in here for under $200 million, which is just impressive. I feel like the story is really good, does a really good job at setting up this world. Of setting up, which is also another problem. Like, this is almost 2.5 hours of just nothing but setting up, which is mainly the main problem holding it back. But yeah, now we have part 2 out, so we know where everything goes out now. But number 1, we have Dune Part 2. Now, this movie, the moment I watched it, it was in my top 10 favorite films of all time, because it's just that good. The score is the best soundtrack I have ever heard. Like, not in just movies or show history. Dune Part 2 is the best piece of music I have ever heard. Especially with the mood of the movie that the music's going with. Perfection. Let's just skip to the Oscars right now because I feel like nothing else gonna win. They're all winning performances. They're all winning Oscars. We just need to skip to that. No one else stands a chance. The movie's just able to handle everything and really make you care for everything that's happening. Because part 1 set up everything so that there's actual payoff into this movie. And everything's not rushed and they're able to take their time with everything and really expand upon this world for this amazing story that is being told. I highly recommend Dune Part 2. If you weren't a fan of Part 1, Part 2 is definitely going to be your thing. Trust me, Part 2 is worth checking out. Like I said, it's in my top 10 favorite films of all time. Watch this movie. It's amazing. Anyways, that was my ranking of all 5 Dune movies and miniseries. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and see you guys all next time. Goodbye.